healing grow.
So we're here on a matter that Mr. Glover is frankly ready to resolve and plead guilty to. However, we're also here on a pretrial supervised release violation, which is a reason why he wants to resolve. The difficulty that we're running into, can you step over there? I don't know if Your Honor can see his leg, but it's very not good.
Yeah.
And so he has a systemic infection in his leg. He's been to the hospital. I just legit, he's not in compliance with taking UAs. He's homeless here in Battleground. It's been very difficult for him to get downtown. He'll admit not taking the UAs. There's no point in not addressing the elephant in the room. But he's also been dealing with some life circumstances that are very complicated. He's at risk of losing his leg, at least from what the medical professionals have told him. And so I don't know what to do. He's ready to resolve today. It would result in him going to jail. I mean, we could do that with a turn self-in date in the future, but it just seems with his life circumstances that doesn't make much sense. Then we have him on supervised release, which with reasonable conditions that he should be complying with, that he has not been for various reasons that are good reasons, some and some maybe that aren't. But ultimately, I don't know what to do.
Let me ask him a question if you don't mind. So, Mr. Glover, let's say that I have you walking out of here today. Do you have a plan for medical treatment?
Yeah, I'm planning on going to the hospital today. Most likely today. I know I had here.
When did you last see a doctor?
Yesterday.
Okay. And what did that medical professional recommend? I can't ask you that question. I'm sorry. Sorry. There's a whole lot of privilege I just crossed the line on. Okay. So we're not going to ask that question. Withdrawn. Okay. So here's my thought. Even if we did enter a plea today, I don't think, because we have had folks that have been returned from schizophrenia with similar issues, I don't think he would make it through jail medical to even get him in.
Can we be heard briefly before you make your decision? I mean, I think I know where you're going, totally understandable, but the city's position is these are excuses. Mr. Glover hasn't complied with any pretrial conditions. He's continuing to use. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
He committed new felony crimes. No different than the last gentleman we had here. Yes, he has a medical condition. I have no reason to believe he's going to do anything about it. It's an excuse.
Okay.
I believe that if Clark County, I think he should be taken into custody today for those pretrial release violations. Our PTA contemplated reporting to jail. In lieu of this pretrial violation request, he needs to be held. And these are excuses. If Clark County Jail feels like he needs treatment, they will get it for him. Clark County Jail has those abilities. So we are asking for release to be revoked. We are not asking for him to walk out of this courtroom. We think that that is a disservice to the community.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he is not,
I never got
Just a moment.
I can't ask you the question I asked.
So if I could just briefly be heard, Judge. Sure. These matters are misdemeanor matters. I understand he has pending felonies. He has release conditions in those. This is the type of situation of
What's his release condition in the felony?
I would have to go to on-base to look it up, or I can ask him and he can tell you as you prefer.
Why don't you ask him, because he's gotten a felony while he's been pending on 2 of our misdemeanors.
Yeah, and I think what heightens this too is both of these are DV related. Both are substance abuse related.
Find out what his release conditions are, Mr. Campbell. Have a seat, Mr. Glover, and talk to your attorney for another minute or two.
So my client's making his way forward. I did just want to briefly address his release conditions in the felony matter, which are enhanced supervision. That's the current supervision level that he's at on our case. So the other conditions are just typical standard conditions. I don't see anything else in that case.
All right.
One issue that Mr. Glover has addressed with me that I want to raise to your Honor's attention is that he's catastrophically indigent. These pretrial UAs, I guess, cost money. I've confirmed that with Ms. Landwehr. I was not aware of that. For some reason, I thought that they were not. There was not a cost associated with them, but that has been a real barrier for him in taking the UAs, he tells me. And then on the jail, I do think that it's possible that the jail may take Mr. Glover. They may take him to the hospital, I guess, but it's just the circumstances that we're dealing with. I understand the city's position, and it's completely appropriate in the general case. I would ask an advocate for Mr. Glover to be able to manage his own medical treatment rather than being taken into the jail, because at that point he's at kind of he's under the control of the jail. He doesn't get to direct his treatment. I don't know. I mean, it's a situation that deals with life and limb. I mean, it is of a very substantial importance to Mr. Glover. And so I understand the city's position, but I would just ask your honor to continue to allow Mr. Glover to be on pretrial supervision as currently ordered, rather than revoking his release and imposing bail. He had the $4,000 bail in the felony case that he's imposed right now. It's probably not a good idea, but you can.
The money thing, so I just moved into this back from home. So, and she said that she would help me with any cost that would be incurred. So if I do need to go and take it away, I don't have a problem with it. That has been the problem for, or excuse me, we talked last. And so moving forward, it shouldn't be a problem. And I just.
I know I see your leg. It's very concerning, but I don't know if you're going to make the right choice. Anyway, go ahead, Ms. Carmen.
You have two things from the city very briefly. Number one, it doesn't cost money to call pretrial release and say, I'm scheduled for a UA and I don't have the money to do it. That's not what happened here. He simply just didn't go. He just didn't go. Number two, he was if we take at face value his word, he was in a doctor a day and a half ago. They did not admit him to the ER. So I still don't, but the city does not believe that Mr. Glover will leave this courtroom and go get medical treatment. If it was that urgent, he'd be there now. Our concern is for the safety of the community. We are asking he be taken into custody. Clark County Jail can decide if this is an urgent medical issue. They do have a medical facility. They have doctors on staff.
So I certainly cannot make a finding that compels Mr. Glover to do anything on his own medical behalf. I don't think anyone can. That said, my finding is going to be based on the fact that on May 6th, I ordered Mr. Glover not to violate the law as a condition of release. On May 17th, Mr. Glover allegedly violated the law. And on the subsequent court appearance to that, I ordered Mr. Glover not to violate the law. And then subsequent to that, he has new felony charges. So twice this court has been giving Mr. Glover court orders. Twice Mr. Glover has failed to comply with those court orders. I am taking Mr. Glover into custody on cause number 3A0128483. Bail in the amount of $15,000 will be imposed.
That's a good question.
Which case number, Judge?
The underlying first in time assault case.
Is that the
380
or no, 483?
The cause number ending in the cause number ending in 483.
Nope.
Possibly ask prosecutor for certain verbiage on order that if the jail does find and needs to go to the hospital, that they release him.
And the jail can take him to the hospital. We have a medical unit there as well.
The city will incur the ER costs and all of that. So I'm just putting that out there. So I don't know if you want certain verbiage or.
We incur his emergency room bill.
Because we're asked, because it's our order to take him into custody.
Mr. Glover is going into custody because he has new felony charges pending.
I would suggest we put in the order. Well, I think that's something the city would, and I would take on my behalf to fight if we get sent an ER bill for Mr. Glover. So.
Yep.
All right, so let's get a return court date scheduled on Mr. Glover's case then.
I've got it here, Judge. I'm asking for the 3rd of August.
All right. I'm not going to be here next week. You're going to be in front of Pro Tem Hawk.
Okay. I mean, I'm presenting to you now. The judge, the client's indicating be interested in just pleading today. I mean, that's not what
We're not going to compel a plea out of
All right.
someone in custody.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll talk to him.
Please, will you hand me my screen box?